Hello, this is Link Season Master, self-proclaimed crazy person and goofball extraordinaire. For the past almost a week now, I've been following an ongoing story, one that seemingly has ended this weekend, regarding Toei Animation claiming over 150 videos of a YouTuber by the name of Totally Not Mark, all within the span of 12 hours. Now, he didn't upload full episodes. He did, and some of the videos that were claimed didn't even feature 5 seconds of footage, not even a second. Sometimes it was just all done without any warning, rhyme, or reason. I have not watched his videos. I did not even really know about his channel beforehand. But his is a story that keeps happening here on YouTube. Well, not just here on YouTube, just on a lot of different places too, but YouTube is especially prominent. He he praised the show, but he offered constructive criticism, something a lot of people do, giving them free advertising. And Toei doesn't care. They don't. They don't care when when Little Karibo tells folks to go watch Yu-Gi-Oh! They don't care when Team 4 Star tells people to go watch Dragon Ball. They don't care. All they care about is that somebody is using their footage without their explicit permission outside of Japan, using the properties they have a claim to without their say-so outside of Japan. And YouTube has put in very, very little effort to even trying to help Mark. It's easy to see that this whole experience destroyed him in a lot of ways. He got a lot of support from outside of Japan, among other content creators, those who are his fans and those who are just familiar with the situation. He made it clear, and he does understand the rules of fair use, both for both for Ireland and the US, namely the country where he lives and the country that is responsible for the app which he's talking about. Japan doesn't care. They never have. At least not these kinds of big companies. Which is a shame, because I love anime. I love a lot of the video games Japan puts together. I've been to Japan, and I had an incredible time there. But this is not just a horrible thing to do to someone who relies on making these kinds of videos, critiquing and commenting for a living. It's hypocrisy. He's also even done a promotion for them. A branch of Toei reached out to him and asked him to do this, and yet another branch says, "Okay, we can just take away his what he uses to pay to take care of his family and his staff." Now, I understand that Japan has basically no fair use laws, but and this has caused a lot of problems in the past. However, why is it okay for entire bookstores to carry doujinshi, aka self-published comic books that often, in fact, probably most of the time, feature characters that are derivative or taken directly from pre-existing franchise and materials that the authors themselves did not publish, do not have a stake in? Why is doujinshi okay? Why is it okay to have entire bookstores dedicated to that? And why is it okay for us to put in the effort to change the stand and character and items names for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure when we bring it outside of Japan? Why is it okay for us to jump through hoops to change the names around here so we don't piss off, so we don't anger the groups around here, but you can't be that same amount of respectful for when we're talking about for when we're discussing your things. It's a two-way street. Respect is a two-way street. And Mark, I, it, he has called, and I know he initially called for a boycott that he now does saying don't do it. But Toei does this kind of thing all the time. Other Japanese companies like Nippon has done it to Nico B. Why he stopped watching Hunter x Hunter, despite him originally praising the show. He can't do it anymore. It's like they don't want people abroad to comment, praise, purchase, or critique, or recommend their materials. So, and yet, Toei has been a big bully about this, especially One Piece, from the start. For those who do not know, One Piece has had more than one English dub over the years. Funimation is currently playing catch up, and the reason they are, and by quite a stretch compared to some other long-running shows, they have a lot of catching up to do. Because the first time One Piece was brought to America on television, it was forced down the throats of a dubbing company known as 4Kids. 4Kids did not want One Piece. They wanted something else from Toei. But Toei was so desperate to get One Piece, which was one of the biggest and most popular anime and manga in Japan. They were so desperate to get it outside of Japan that as soon as somebody expressed even the slightest interest in one of their other properties, they forced it down their throats. And the result was that for many years, One Piece had a horrendous reputation in America due to a very poor dub. I enjoyed it at the time, and there are aspects of it that I still get a bit of a smile out of. But even so, I'm not saying they're good. It's not a good dub. They clearly, and the voice actors and the dub writers clearly did not want to touch it. But they had no choice. And yet, when people are doing the opposite these days, when they're extolling praises for One Piece from abroad, Toei doesn't care. And apparently they've done similar things with other properties too. Not just their animation, but live action too. I get that when you have an international market that is in a lot of ways very different from what you have at home, it's a lot of effort to figure out what's okay for them and what you have to do to change. But that's just it. You have to. You have to acknowledge. You have to see what you should compromise on and what you shouldn't. You have to strike a balancing act. You have to put in that effort. Because not every culture is going to be the same. But in a lot of ways, but when a majority of people around the world are not happy with how you handle this, that probably says something. And it's clear that you guys are aware that what you're doing is wrong. Otherwise, you wouldn't wait until December, when most of YouTube's staff is on holiday break, to pull stunts like this. You would not. If you really thought you were in the right, when these people contested your claims, you wouldn't wait the 30 days. You would fire right back immediately when they contested it. You say like, no, we're in the right. You would say that right off the bat. You would not wait 30 days. You know what you're doing is not right. You're being bullies. And coming from a studio that produces things like Dragon Ball and One Piece, where bullies are often the villains and get what's coming to them, it's clear there's a bit of hypocrisy here. Now look, I'm not saying all Japanese animation studios or Japanese companies in general are like this. But the bigger ones are not really doing themselves many favors in the eyes of the international market. This is really poor advertising. It makes people think twice about watching any of your shows on official streaming services, or in the case of things like Dragon Ball, television. In fact, I know Mark, after the horrible week he had and his attempts to be respectful and even have somebody translate what he's been through to the Japanese audience. Apparently, they thought Toei was in the right. They did not understand. They did not put in any effort to understand where he was coming from. They did not realize the hypocrisy that the Japanese anime fans, can publish their own comics using these characters, and he can't talk about them. They thought he was being too forceful, rude. He wasn't. He was using a calm. He made sure the translator was using an incredibly calm voice. The language was making clear that he repeatedly stated that he loved and respected the people responsible for this. And the Japanese audience also clearly, if they think that was rude, they ought to see Nico B reacting to what he's been through. They ought to see what a lot people like the angry video game nerd, when he's ripping on horrible company practices or just bad games in general. You guys come from a very respectful country, but I pity anyone who tries to translate that stuff to Japanese for you. Because this message, the letter he had written to Oda and Toei Animation, if you guys think that was rude, you have no idea what rude is. I try to be as respectful as I can, but there's a difference between being polite and letting things go. Letting things that should not slide. You can be respectful yet honest. And you guys are the same country that brought us a game like Persona 5, which I found incredibly cathartic over the past few years. A game where you purposely get to go up and cause change in the hearts of corrupt, hypocritical authority figures. And yet, you let something like this happen. And you don't see any irony between what your country's doing and the fact that you allow things like doujinshi. This hurts. I love Japan. I still do. But I have put together a list of Toei properties that, until things change, I will no longer be supporting. Not financially, and not in any official capacity. If I do find myself enjoying things like One Piece or Dragon Ball in the future, it won't be through a means that will allow Toei to get a penny or even 1 yen out of me. So, I will not be going to see the new Dragon Ball movie next month. I will not be buying any future Shonen Jump crossover games, because I know Toei has a hand in letting some of these properties reprise their roles. Because a lot of Toei properties are published in Shonen Jump too. I will not have kids, I will not be buying them any Power Rangers, Kamen Rider, Dragon Ball, or One Piece paraphernalia. Or anything. I have put the shows that I'm in the middle of, like the first version of Pretty Cure, Sailor Moon, Clannad, Ultimate Muscle, Digimon, Air Gear, Cyborg 009, Vista Nostra, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Voltron, Mazinger Z, Galaxy Express 39, Captain Harlock, Saint Seiya, aka Knights of the Zodiac, Lovely Complex, or even Toriko, or even things that I just have some interest in checking out at some point, like Getter Robo, Dr. Slump, Xenosaga, the animation, Cutie Honey, Halo Legends, Bayonetta, Bloody Fate, that, or even revisiting things that I have grown up in, or have done some progress and finished. Like, will not be revisiting Bobobo through an official means if that even exists, because I don't know if it does. I will not be trying to track down an official version of Zatch Bell past the point where I left off. If I enjoy any of these things, it will not be through official streamings or hard copies. But this is my decision. And I know I'm not the only one making it. Maybe some of you out there feel the same, or will join me in this after seeing this video if you deign to watch it. But this is something I'm really into fan fiction. I love seeing fan works, fan art, AMVs. And I'm not saying I'm the best at following copyright law myself. I'm not. I've made so many compilations of anime openings that it is a miracle if any of them could show up even on YouTube or Dailymotion or VO. I'm lucky if that happens. But while I can copy boycott Toei, I unfortunately the problem with YouTube is there just doesn't seem to be a viable alternative right now. Blip is gone. That guy with the glasses and slash channel awesome. That is a mess in and of itself. Dailymotion and VO, they're if they used to, they still, even though they're nowhere near as popular as they may have been back in the day, they don't really put any effort into advertising on other places or trying to bring people in saying, we're content friendly. They never say that. And you never know what's going to get claimed there and what's not. Vimeo. Yeah, I've had a lot more luck uploading things there, as long as they're not a certain size. And even if I were to pay and get that size, that cap boosted, it's still got a cap. Twitch does not let you keep certain videos on there for past a certain point unless you either do a highlights or just port it elsewhere. Tumblr does not like videos of a certain size. Reddit is a little better about it, but it's still got a limit. There really are YouTube and that's just it. YouTube is in this position where it can do so much good. It has the resources. It has the potential. It has the staff. It has the money to actually stand by its content creators. It actually does have that money at this point. And it does nothing. Or it does next to nothing. How is that right? How is that fair? That the people who have built them up and continue to do so can just as easily be thrown by the wayside, like one of this week's bags of garbage. I do not like recording videos like this, where I have a hard time keeping my temper in check and letting my frustration. The reason I try to do these kinds of vlogs, and selectively, is because I want this to be a place where I can outright encourage people to go check things out. Even if I offer criticism for things, Or even if I just make notes of things they did differently compared to certain versions of other stories I've had. Like when I thought of Hadestown, and I point out and go with one of the more optimistic endings I've heard, which, yes, that particular thing isn't universal to the myth, but it's not really a point against it that it's not going that way. It's not. I'm just an optimist, and I like that stuff. It's not a point against it. I don't hold it against it. It's just something I couldn't help but make a note of. But this is something I couldn't stay quiet on. But I do not, will say one last thing. I do not blame Totally Not Mark for needing to just uninvolve himself from this. He may have kind of helped kickstart a movement, but he doesn't need to be the face of it. He doesn't need to be a martyr. Because he's not the. Because not only has this done his mental health no real favors, and he needs. And that is not something to be underestimated. He didn't ask for this. He didn't ask for those copyright strikes. He didn't ask for all this support. He's grateful for it. He is. But but he didn't ask for it. And there are people who do need it a lot, who really do need this help. Very small YouTube channels who do depend on these things for a living, just like him, and who honestly get affected even worse than he does. This is just, I'm glad that he made this as public as he did, because they can't get him in trouble for defamation if if he has pictures and footage of the emails and everything that they've done to him. They can't call it defamation if there's evidence. At least, not by my book. I'm not a lawyer. I'm really not. But I have a conscience. I have principles. And I will be boycotting Toei going forward. Because they are not to be trusted. And they can shill out all these things that preach standing up to corrupt authority figures, doing something, taking action. But don't like it when people call them out on that. They don't like it when people realize that everything they're shilling is totally undermined by reality. If you still want to support Dragon Ball, One Piece, any of the other properties I listed, and anything else that Toei owns that that didn't list because I have no real interest in checking them out, that is your decision. But I want you, and as long as you're informed about this, and you can find enough good about these people to continue supporting them in good faith, and not just because it's easy, or you just love what they're producing too much to give up. I just can't anymore. I just can't after this. I finished Hunter x Hunter long before Nico B got hit. I finished Boba Ball the anime a long time ago. Dragon Ball Super, all they're doing right now these days is movies and video games. One Piece, yeah. But things like One Piece that I am in the middle of, Zatch Bell, which I'm in the middle of, Digimon, there's a bunch of different seasons. I never saw the entirety of as a kid that I wanted to go back and watch in their entirety. I've been so curious about Saint Seiya, Knights of the Zodiac, for so long. And I kind of wanted to see what Sailor Moon was like without the rather notorious dub of it that I saw in Toonami growing up. Toriko, I just got distracted, but all that, I'm gonna have to put that on hold for now. At least until something changes. I'm sorry. But this is how I'm going to use my voice, use my wallet. I hope you can respect that and understand why. Sorry for the rather depressing vlog, but this is something that's been on my mind for several days now, and I needed a way to vent it somewhere that it wouldn't just be preaching to either the choir or people who wouldn't understand a word of what I'm saying. But money talks, and Toei's not getting my money. Not unless they realize that they have made a huge mistake. So, goodbye. Until next time.